I'm Uncle Ray, and welcome to the Atomic Growth Team, where our mission is to help you become 1% better every day. Imagine finally hitting that massive savings goal you've been grinding toward for years. You've sacrificed, you budgeted, and the number is finally right there in your account. But instead of feeling free, you actually feel more anxious than ever. Or worse, you make one emotional mistake in a total moment of panic that wipes it all out. What if the secret to true wealth isn't about making more money, but fundamentally changing who is actually in charge, you or your money?
Wow. Yeah, it's a heavy reality to confront. I mean, it is so incredibly exhausting to constantly chase the next paycheck or, constantly worry about bills.
Yeah, exactly.
And the shocking part is this happens no matter how much you actually earn. That underlying anxiety is very real. You can have a high income, a great job title, and still feel completely trapped in this cycle, always looking over your shoulder for the next unexpected expense. It's a very stressful way to live, and it just drains your energy for literally everything else.
It really does. That anxiety is it's so common. So if making a higher salary doesn't automatically fix it, what actually does? Today, we are pulling from a massive stack of research to answer that exact question.
Right.
We're looking at behavioral economics journals, historical market data going back decades, and the core wealth-building strategies of financial titans like Tony Robbins. And to be clear, we aren't going to talk about get-rich-quick schemes today.
Definitely not.
We are unpacking a bulletproof, step-by-step system designed to move you from a state of constant financial anxiety to total control and absolute peace of mind. Let's unpack the system. Where do we even begin with this?
We have to start with a fundamental mindset shift. When we talk about money, we need to stop seeing it just as cold, hard cash or just digits sitting on a screen. Money is a tool.
Right.
It's a mechanism that buys choices, it buys back your time, and ultimately it ends pain. The core problem for most of us is what behavioral economists call the consumer mindset.
Oh, that makes so much sense. Think about what happens the minute you get paid. Most people, they immediately start paying everyone else. You pay the landlord, you pay the utility company, you pay the bank for your car loan.
Yeah,
You are literally handing your life energy over to everyone except the most important person in the equation, which is yourself. If we use an analogy, imagine your money is an employee. Right now, you're working yourself to the bone while your employee just sits on the couch doing absolutely nothing.
or worse, immediately walks out the front door to go work for someone else.
Exactly. We need to turn your money into a tireless, 24/7 super employee.
I love that analogy so much. Your money doesn't need to sleep, it doesn't need weekends off, and it never asks for a vacation. But to hire that super employee, you have to create a freedom fund. This is the absolute necessity of paying yourself first. The goal is to set up an automated transfer of 10 to 15% of your income the exact day you get paid directly into a separate investment or savings account. Out of sight, out of mind. You build the wealth before you even have a chance to spend it.
But let's be real for a second here. What if our listener is hearing this and thinking, my budget is stretched to the absolute breaking point. I literally cannot spare 10%, let alone 15, without missing rent. How do they start?
That is where things get really fascinating, because human psychology offers a brilliant behavioral workaround for that exact problem. It's called the tomorrow strategy.
Okay, the tomorrow strategy.
Yeah. If you can't save right now, you don't actually have to change your current lifestyle at all. Instead, you commit to saving 50% of your future raises, future bonuses, or any unexpected income you receive down the line.
Let's break that down because that is incredibly clever. You're bypassing our natural psychological resistance to losing what we already have.
Precisely. Let's say you get a $4,000 raise next year. Your brain hasn't adjusted to spending that extra $4,000 yet. It's not in your budget.
It's invisible money.
Exactly. So if you take $2,000 of that and automate it straight into your freedom fund, you don't feel the pain of a lifestyle downgrade. You still get to enjoy the other $2,000, so your lifestyle still improves.
Yeah.
But quietly, behind the scenes, you are building a massive financial fortress without ever having to give up your daily coffee or your current standard of living.
So what we're really saying here is automate your success.
Yeah.
Remove willpower from the equation entirely. Because if you have to consciously sit down at the kitchen table and decide to save money every single month, you will eventually fail.
100%.
Life gets in the way, emergencies happen, or you just get tired. Automating it means your wealth grows silently in the background. But automating your savings is a massive first step, but unfortunately, it's really only half the battle. Even a perfectly automated system has silent leaks. What are we missing here?
This is one of the most shocking facts in the entire financial world, and it catches almost everyone off guard. We're talking about fee sharks.
Fee sharks.
When you invest in mutual funds or have someone manage your retirement account, you might see a seemingly tiny management fee, maybe 1 or 2%. Your brain naturally thinks, 1%? That's nothing. That's just a tiny tip for their service.
It sounds totally harmless.
It sounds harmless until you do the math. Let's put some real numbers to this to show just how dangerous it is. Imagine you invest $500 a month for 40 years. Assuming an average historical market return, that could grow to roughly $1.5 million.
Wow, okay.
Now, introduce a seemingly harmless 2% management fee. You might think you're paying a couple of bucks a month, but because of the erosion of compound interest, meaning you lose the money and you lose the growth that money would have made over those 40 years, that 2% fee eats up nearly half of your total returns.
Wait, half.
You would lose over $600,000 just in fees.
Wait, let me make sure I'm hearing this right. I do all the hard work of saving $500 every single month for 4 decades, and someone else walks away with half my fortune just for managing this spreadsheet. That is a silent wealth killer.
It is devastating. So what is the actionable advice to fix this? You have to switch your investments to low-cost index funds. These are funds that just track the broader market, like the S&P 500, and because they aren't actively managed by expensive stock pickers in fancy suits, the fees are usually under 0.1%.
Right.
Furthermore, if you do need professional financial advice, you must ensure you are working with a legal fiduciary. A fiduciary is required by law to put your financial interests first. A standard broker isn't. They are often perfectly legally allowed to push products that simply earn them the highest commissions, even if it's worse for you.
That's a massive distinction. You want someone legally bound to be on your team, not just a salesperson. So let's paint a picture. You've automated your savings, you've cut out the fee sharks, and you finally hit a major savings milestone. Maybe you finally see $100,000 in your account for the first time. You feel secure. But the research points out a massive psychological trap that kicks in right at this moment. What happens to our brains when we hit that goal?
This is a fascinating behavioral quirk, and it is so dangerous. It's called the wealth illusion. When people hit a big financial milestone, their brain plays a massive trick on them. They look at their account balance, and suddenly they feel like investing geniuses.
Oh, no.
They completely forget that it was their boring, steady discipline, their frugality, and their automated index funds that got them there.
They think, I have arrived, I have cracked the code to the matrix. And what do next? They abandon the exact system that made them successful in the first place.
Right.
They start taking wild risks. They start day trading options, or they throw massive amounts of money into highly speculative, unproven crypto projects. They suddenly feel invincible because their safety net is bigger.
And that's exactly how they lose it all. The key insight here is this. Don't mistake the luck of a rising market or your incredible ability to save for high-risk trading skills. Don't dismantle a perfectly good engine while the car is speeding down the highway.
I love that framing. Don't dismantle the engine.
You built a boring, effective system that works. Don't break it just because you're bored or feeling overconfident.
So how do we protect ourselves from our own worst impulses? If we know our brains are going to tempt us to mess with the money, we have to build an unbreakable system.
In the financial world, we call this the core satellite structure. Imagine a planet with a few small moons orbiting it. The planet is the vast majority of your wealth, sitting safely, and the moons are the smaller, riskier pieces. Tony Robbins breaks this down beautifully into the concept of 3 distinct buckets. It's a way to give every single dollar a specific job description.
Let's walk through those buckets.
First, you have the security bucket. This is your cash and short-term bonds. This bucket is your psychological safety net. It's not there to make you rich. It's there so you can sleep soundly at night and have dry powder if the economy suddenly crashes or you lose your job.
That makes sense.
Second, you have the risk and growth bucket. This is the engine of your wealth. This is where you hold your global index funds, your stocks, maybe real estate. It's going to go up and down with the market, but historically, this is what outpaces inflation and builds true generational wealth.
And the third bucket.
The dream bucket. This is a tiny fraction of your portfolio, maybe 1 to 5% maximum. This is for your high-risk, fun investments, the speculative crypto, the angel investing in your friend's new startup. The golden rule for the dream bucket is simple. If it goes to absolute zero tomorrow, your lifestyle does not change one bit. You don't lose your house, and you don't lose your peace of mind.
Wait, let me play devil's advocate for a second. If I put so much into that safe security bucket, aren't I missing out on big games? If I lose half my growth portfolio in a bad market crash, say it drops 50%, can't I just make 50% back the next year to break even? Why be so defensive?
That is the exact trap most people fall into, and it comes down to a cold, hard mathematical truth. The math of loss. Let's look at the actual math. If you have $10,000 and the market drops 50%, you are down to $5,000.
Right.
To get that $5,000 back up to your original $10,000, you don't need a 50% gain. A 50% gain on $5,000 is only $2,500. You need a full 100% gain just to get back to the starting line.
Wow. A 50% loss requires a 100% gain just to break even. That is brutal.
It is. That is why limiting your downside is the ultimate secret of the wealthy. They aren't trying to make a killing every single year. They're trying to avoid getting killed. They prioritize not losing money above almost everything else.
And since we know human nature makes us want to tinker and mess with our investments when we read a scary news headline, what's a good mental model to stop ourselves from panic selling?
There is a fantastic psychological quarantine you can use. Pretend your big savings pile has been officially confiscated by your future self. It is entirely locked away for the next 10 years. You literally tell yourself, that money does not exist for current me. It belongs to 60-year-old me. This mental quarantine stops you from impulsively touching your portfolio.
Confiscated by your future self. I really like that. That brings us to a really important pivot in this deep dive. We've talked extensively about money, about buckets and math, but let's talk about the ultimate assets, starting with your actual physical health.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I know you listening right now might be hustling hard. You might be working 2 jobs, managing side hustles, burning the midnight oil to build that freedom fund. But trying to speed up your wealth by sacrificing your sleep and burning yourself out is a catastrophic financial mistake.
It truly is, and the science backs this up completely. Your human capital, your ability to work, to focus, to solve complex problems, and to think clearly is your most vital asset. If you destroy your health, your money doesn't matter.
Right.
But even from a pure investing standpoint, chronic stress and exhaustion literally degrade your brain's prefrontal cortex. That's the part of your brain responsible for logic, executive function, and long-term planning.
When your prefrontal cortex is compromised by stress and lack of sleep, you revert to your amygdala, which is the brain's fear center. That is exactly when you panic sell at the absolute bottom of a market crash. You make terrible, highly emotional financial decisions because your brain is biologically exhausted.
Exactly.
I like to call it productive laziness, actually taking the time to rest, to exercise, to sleep 8 hours. It is not a luxury. It is a fundamental financial strategy. A calm, rested mind makes profitable, rational decisions.
And that calm mind allows you to adopt what we call the billionaire mindset, which is entirely focused on asymmetrical risk. Average investors always approach a new opportunity asking, how much money can I make? Wealthy investors ask a totally different question first. What is the absolute most I can lose? They are hunting for asymmetrical setups, specifically a 5-to-1 ratio.
Let's break down that 5-to-1 ratio. What does that actually look like in practice?
It means they want to risk $1 to potentially make $5. Think about the math on that setup. If you make 10 investments with a 5-to-1 asymmetrical setup and you are completely wrong on 8 of them, you lose $8. But on the 2 you get right, you make $10. You were wrong 80% of the time and you still walked away with a profit.
That is incredible.
That is how the ultra-wealthy invest. They wait patiently for opportunities where the downside is strictly capped and minimal, but the upside is massive.
You don't have to be right all the time. You just have to manage your risk. That is incredibly liberating. And that brings us to the final and honestly the most surprising step to true wealth in our source material today. This is the one that catches everyone off guard. It's the power of giving, specifically giving away money or giving your time or even just a kind word, precisely when you feel like you do not have enough.
It sounds completely counterintuitive. Most people think, I'm stressed about money, I'm trying to build my freedom fund, so why on earth should I give some away? But the psychology behind it is profound. When you give, you are sending a powerful, undeniable neurological signal to your own brain.
Right.
You are taking a physical action that says, I have more than enough. It instantly shatters the scarcity mindset that keeps so many people trapped in anxiety.
If you wait until you are a millionaire to start giving, You probably never will, because the muscle simply isn't there, and that fear of scarcity will just scale up right along with your bank account. Giving breaks the fever of financial anxiety, because ultimately, having millions in the bank but feeling completely empty, unfulfilled, and constantly fearful of losing it, that isn't wealth. Wealth without fulfillment is the ultimate failure.
It really is. Let's pause and look at the massive journey we've just mapped out today. We are talking about a complete lifestyle transformation. You start by shifting your mindset from an anxious consumer who is just chasing bills to an empowered, automated saver paying yourself first.
Yeah.
Then you become a strategic allocator, building those three distinct buckets to protect your downside and avoid the wealth illusion. And finally, you protect your ultimate assets, your physical health, your peace of mind, and your sense of abundance through giving.
We really want you to take action on this.
Yeah.
Listening to a deep dive is great, but execution is everything.
Absolutely. And if this deep dive gave you a aha moment today or helped shift your perspective, please take a second right now to hit the like button, subscribe to the Atomic Growth Team, and share this audio with a friend who might be stressing over their finances. We are building a community here, and we want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. We would love to hear which of the three buckets you are going to focus on building first. The security bucket, the growth bucket, or the dream bucket. Let us know.
To help you execute on what we've discussed, here are 3 simple, actionable steps you can implement today. Number 1, calculate your financial security number. Don't just say, I want to be rich. That's too vague and it just causes more anxiety. Sit down with a piece of paper and write down the exact monthly cost of your 5 absolute basic needs: rent or mortgage, utilities, food, basic insurance, and transport. That number is your first goal. It gives your brain a clear, highly achievable target rather than an abstract fantasy.
That's a great first step.
Number 2, automate your freedom fund. Do not wait until the end of the month to see what's left over. Log into your bank app today, right now, and set up an automatic transfer. Even if it is just 5% of your income, set it to move to a separate savings or investment account the exact day your paycheck hits. Out of sight, out of mind. Let the math do the heavy lifting for you.
Yes.
And number 3, do an expense audit. Log into your retirement accounts or your investment portfolios and go hunting for those fee sharks. If you are paying anything over 0.5% in management fees, it is time to seriously look into moving that money to low-cost index funds. Do not let hidden fees eat half of your future.
Those are powerful steps. And here is my challenge to you to close this out. Today, do one act of giving. It does not have to be money. Give your time to someone who needs help. Or just give a colleague or a complete stranger a truly genuine compliment. Notice how it immediately makes you feel richer. Notice how it shifts your internal energy from scarcity to abundance. And before you go, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to mull over. If your future self traveled back in time to audit your bank account and your habits today, would they thank you or would they fire you?
That is a brilliant question to leave on. Remember, financial freedom isn't just about the numbers sitting in your bank account. It is about buying back the ultimate luxury of your choices. Keep aiming to be 1% better every day. We'll see you in the next deep dive.